Let's go back to one of our top stories. E-hailing drivers say they face continuous violence from taxi operators. Let's talk more about this with Gauteng E-Hailing Services Secretary General, Irene Masinya. A very good afternoon to you, Irene. Thanks very much for your time. From what your members are telling you, do we know, what happened last night in Pimville?
Good day, Vuyo. From my members, what was discussed, we're not happy with what happened. It's totally something that is heartbreaking. We're not happy about it. So we just sending prayers to the families of the two guys that lost their lives.
Is there a history to what happened last night? In other words, when you heard of what happened at the Maponya Mall, did you feel that, my goodness, this was something waiting to happen, given how relations have been between your members and the taxi industry?
Regarding that, it is a history repeating itself. It once happened, I can't just remember when was it, and it was also around in Soweto. But, something like this, if it happens, it's heartbreaking. What we're trying to do, I just wish if we can have a good working relationship with the industry to minimize this fight, to minimize these killings. No one was expecting this to happen again anytime.
I spoke a little earlier to the MMC for safety and security in the city of Johannesburg. He says there are at least three parts to the problem between e-hailing drivers and taxi drivers. One is the issue of legislation, that e-hailing, he says, has not been formalized, and that's a competency of the national government. He says another part of the problem is the issue of permits, which he says is a competency of the provincial government. And then there is the issue of ranks and demarcations, which is the competency of the local government. But he says they, as the local government, can't do anything before the province sorts the issue of permits, before national government sorts the issue of formalizing e-hailing services.
Okay, remember on those three parts, those are the three different stages that needs to happen. We, as the e-hailers, we're currently working without the permits. But in Tshwane, with TES, we started the process of applying the permits to the e-hailers. As soon as we receive the codes for the holding area letters, that's when we will submit the applications for the permits. So from the e-hailers side, we are on the track, on a good track. The government side, I think they're also busy with the legislation part. As soon as they are finished with everything, I think everything will be on the track.
Was it impossible to arrive at interim arrangements? From what you know, from the conversations that you guys have had with everybody involved, including the government and taxi services?
The interim of?
Interim arrangements. In other words, where we say, okay, in the absence of permits, this is what we can and can't do. In the sense of, well, it's legislation, whether it's the permits, could you not have entered into, in other words, all of you together, everyone involved, could you not have gotten into interim arrangements so as to avoid what we're seeing or what we've seen happening in Pimville?
No, there were no interims, because when you go to the department to inquire regarding the process of application of the permit, there are requirements that are needed there. So from our side, we did met all the requirements. So as long as we can try to do our best with other regions, if they can do the application and everything that is required on the application, if they can have that, everything is from us actually. If we delay to submit what is required, then there will be a delay. But if we push from our side and work hard on that, the process will be smooth.
Now, from what the Provincial Ministry of Transport in Gauteng has told journalists, there are these fortnightly meetings with all of you, yourselves, taxi industry, and everyone else who has a stake in this. You've tried to sort of solve some of the problems. Are you saying that even at those meetings, you couldn't find one another and at least seek, even if it's temporary, solutions or resolutions to some of the problems that you have?
Are you talking about the crisis committee that we held on a Friday this morning?
Well, not only, I mean, well, today's morning, I would assume, came as a result of what happened last night. But from what the MEC's office has told journalists, there have been fortnightly meetings with everyone who's involved in transport-related matters. So what I'm asking is, even at those meetings, you couldn't kind of find one another and resolve some of the problems that have made it to be at loggerheads with one another?
Listen, on that meeting, we do find one another. The communication is there. We do raise our issues. All the transport modes, they do raise their issues, and the MEC is doing her best to make sure that everything is met. As long as we raise, because if we don't talk about the issues, then we won't have any resolutions. But we do communicate on those meetings.
Would you also say that the national department, which is responsible in large part for piloting the legislation, is also doing their best, just as the provincial government is, as you on your account, doing its best? Would you say the national department is also doing its best?
From the national, I think there are delays somewhere, somehow, compared to the provincial.
Have you been able to put a finger on why there are those delays?
I won't know what are the delays, because that's another department.
What would you say should happen to prevent or what happened in Pimville last night and today?
If they can use Tshwane model, such things will be prevented in other regions.
Let me thank you very much for your time. Gauteng E-Hailing Services Secretary General Irene Masinya.